What's going on, guys? I want to talk about Joe Budden. There's been an update to the situation. Apparently, according to Complex and Hot New Hip Hop, he has since apologized on his podcast in regards to firing Rory and Maul too, but mainly Rory, in his response to the podcast that went viral. Now, I want people to understand I did a video about how unremorseful Joe Budden was. And I still believe that Joe Budden is very unremorseful about what he did. And I think that he wanted to get that off his chest and then maybe come back later and clean it up. But he said exactly what he wanted to say. I don't believe it was just a situation where he got a hot head and he just lost it. Joe Budden is a very calm and collected guy most of the time, from what I have seen, at least recently. Now, he has gone off the rails, and this might have been one of the situations. That's why he feels the need to apologize. He probably felt like he was punching down. But I'm the type of person, I don't care how much you're trying to build up interest in your podcast, because that's what I noticed some people were saying on social media. They were basically saying that Joe Budden is trying to build up interest for his podcast. That's one of the main reasons why he is deciding to go off on Rory and Maul and fire them on the show. And now he's coming back to clean it up. And this could have been something that was orchestrated. Listen, people are too deep in the conspiracy theory pool. Joe Budden said exactly what he wanted to say. He said exactly what he wanted to say in regards to Rory and Maul, because I think in Joe Budden's mind, he feels like Rory may have been getting out of his place, so to speak. And he wanted to put him in his place right then and there. Well, when they weren't there. And tell them, listen, you can try to boycott my show. You can threaten to do this and that all you want to, but you sign a contract and you're this and that and the third. And that's how I feel about you. Now let's get to this article from Complex. Joe Budden has apologized to Rory after a clip of Budden firing his former co-host went viral. Seeing all of this feedback and all this, I do need to apologize to Rory as well. Maybe Rory and Maul too. But definitely Rory, Joe said on the newest episode of the Joe Budden podcast around the 55-minute mark, adding that things sound a lot spicier in the go out. He also said he asked for an aforementioned clip to be edited out of the podcast. Oh, really? Is it because they might have a legal case against you? Huh? That's why I tell y'all talk about all this stuff being orchestrated and planned. Come on, man. Joe Budden was very unremorseful. I'm not going to change my stance on that. That's why I named the video the way that I did. I'll put a link to it. You can go check it out. He had the tweets. Y'all seen the tweets. Sorry, not sorry. And this might be a way to cover himself. Might be a way to cover himself. Ever since that last pod, I just been having like pictures in my head of every moment that me and the guys have ever had together. He said, when I say I didn't ask you to do this for me, because I don't ask y'all to do this for me. But that's a man thing to me. You just don't ask men too much stuff. But when I said I didn't ask you to do something, it don't mean that I'm not appreciative. It don't mean I'm not grateful. It just means I never asked. And I can see once again where Joe is coming from. Joe is old school in the sense of you need to work towards something and you need to not ask for help, ask for handouts. Because I'm that way. I'm all about building for yourself. Build for yourself so that you never have to ask anybody for anything. But we are in a culture where it has become normal to be entitled. We have an entitlement culture. And that entitlement culture goes for both women and men. And in Joe Budden's mind, he felt like Rory was being entitled on a platform with his name alone on it. Even though he has co-hosts, Joe Budden feels like that is his podcast. He should not have to acquiesce to the demands of people who he feels did not help build his name up. And this is why you cannot be heavily reliant on one person for your financial situation or for anything. You can't be beholden to one person. And yes, they worked together. They those were his co-hosts for a while. But money will, and friends, co-hosts and friends, but money will always drive people apart. And that's exactly the reflection I think that Joe Budden is having. Joe Budden is saying to himself, well, wait a minute. People are looking at me like I'm the bad guy. I was just speaking up for myself and saying, hey, listen, this is my podcast and you're not going to dictate terms to me. And I think he sees that what Rory and Mal did as a way of trying to elbow their way into getting more money out of him. And he got very, very defensive. And that's why he did what he did in firing. Also says, when do you say that and not sound like a dickhead? He continued, don't want that to affect people I love, which is why I'm going to apologize to Rory, because me and Rory have so many fly moments together, like fly friend type of vibe. Like, it's unfortunate that they might not feel that we're so friendly today, and it's unfortunate that I can't tell you how we got here. Maybe aside from, if I'm taking accountability, poor leadership skills. Well, I could say that might be what it is. I can definitely say that he wasn't being too much of a leader in putting everything out there on that podcast. You know, a lot of things like that should be handled behind closed doors, or at least away from the microphone. Because when you put stuff in front of a microphone, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have Joe Budden in full regret mode, and he shouldn't. You know, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. And I still think today that Joe Budden still feels the same way. I think that Joe Budden feels the same way, but I think he's caught, in his mind, he's caught between a rock and a hard place, because he doesn't want to come off as the bad guy. He doesn't want to come across as like the bully boss. But again, when he's dealing with Rory and Mal behind the scenes, we don't know what's being said. We don't know we've seen some of the body language recently with Rory, especially feeling some type of way, feeling slighted. But I think in his mind, he's saying, you know, I'm a boss. I have to handle things in a more logical manner. This is why logic matters. Logic absolutely matters, because what logic does, it keeps you from making stupid decisions because of your emotions and doing things because of your emotions. So it says, Rory and Mal have also issued their response to Joe's firing. A new clip titled, I'll name this response later, shows the pair sitting down together as Mal deliberates on why he thinks Joe thought the podcast was successful.
A lot of the success of this podcast is based off of his music career, right? I feel like he thinks it's a trickle down effect from his music career to the podcast. And my thing is, it's not. I've been in some of these cities when you were a rapper, Joe. I've been in some of these cities. It wasn't, this many people weren't showing up for you.
You know what's crazy is that years ago, I saw a photo of Joe Budden and his venue, and that place looked empty. It looked empty. Now again, people might say this could have been way before the performance, but the room was small, like one of those little clubs, those local clubs, right? And there was hardly anybody in there. And that has been a knock on Joe that when they would tour, not a lot of people's going to see Joe. Not a lot of people's going to see Joe. I think Joe Budden has always been a presence online. He's always known how to navigate the internet, how to find ways to market himself and market what he was doing. So I can't 100% say it was just the music career. Look at the women who went viral just off of dating Joe Budden. Joe Budden also, not only from what he did music wise, but he was going viral based off the women that he dated. And that also helped his profile. Joe knows how to navigate the internet. That's why he's been able to get to where he is. He knew that it would be a good blend of him, Rory, and Maul, because he had a different hosting situation earlier, but this is what it became. It became this, and it worked out for them. So that basically, I'll put a link to this article in the description box. Y'all can go and check it out. Make sure that you follow me if you are new. Like this video and share it, and I'll see y'all on the next one.